At last, the secret is out. Though rumors of institutional interest in XRP have been circulating for years, this time they are not based on conjecture. I recently received a leaked internal paper from BlackRock, and what it shows upends our preconceived notions about the direction of international finance. This classified paper claims that BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world with over 10 trillion in assets under management, has secretly amassed an incredible $9.4 billion in XRP. This isn't rumor. In order to incorporate XRP into BlackRock's next-generation tokenized asset infrastructure, the document describes a multi-phase process. It might change the way that money flows between markets, countries, and even asset classes. Give it some time to sink in. The same organization that essentially controls the world financial system and has connections to governments, central banks, and international regulatory bodies is placing a large wager on XRP. However, we're all curious as to why. Why XRP? Why now? What's concealed in that leaked document that they didn't want the world to know? The memo claims that the Unified Digital Asset Liquidity Bridge has the solution. XRP is the single settlement layer that serves as the central component of a framework created to link tokenized representations of real-world assets, such as stocks, bonds, commodities, and real estate. Now, here's where it gets wild. According to the document, BlackRock's digital infrastructure team has been working with unnamed financial institutions in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East to covertly test Ripple's on-demand liquidity corridors for more than a year. According to their internal estimates, the new system could completely replace the expensive and slow SWIFT network and move trillions of dollars in tokenized value every day. However, the price of XRP cannot remain at 50 cents or even $5 in order to make this system liquid enough to manage the enormous daily flows of capital. The math just doesn't add up. The document comes to the conclusion that XRP would need to trade at a least of $10,000 per coin in order to effectively bridge that type of value, given the liquidity needs and the size of global tokenized assets. Let's stop there. Some people find a $10,000 XRP to be fantastical, yet it instantly makes sense if you get the workings of settlement velocity and liquidity corridors. Due to its finite supply and quick settlement times, XRP requires a high value per unit in order to absorb trillions of dollars in liquidity at scale without experiencing bottlenecks. BlackRock is aware that this is now about global liquidity efficiency rather than retail speculation. In essence, they are artificially restricting supply and circulation to increase efficiency per coin, a tactic that is strikingly similar to what central banks do with foreign reserves. The letter refers to this first phase as liquidity compression. The worst part is about to come. The entire effort, according to the memo, is in line with Project Guardian, a Singapore-led program that aims to investigate the interoperability of tokenized assets and is supported by the BIS, the IMF, and major banks. Along with Citi and JP Morgan DBS, Ripple is already an official participant in that effort. Is it a coincidence? Not at all. The disclosure attests to the fact that BlackRock's purchase of XRP is a component of a concerted worldwide shift toward tokenized finance. They are not placing profitable bets on cryptocurrency. The railroads for the upcoming financial system are being constructed. Additionally, the document states that XRP will serve as the neutral bridge currency between traditional markets, digital currencies issued by central banks, and tokenized funds. Consider the enormity of the ramifications. By tokenizing assets, BlackRock is transferring real-world value, such as property, stocks, and commodities, onto the blockchain rather than merely digitizing numbers on a screen. That translates to trillions of dollars in actual assets that are quickly settled over XRP's ledger and move smoothly across networks. It is understandable why Ripple has been quietly collaborating with many central banks, the Digital Pound Foundation, and the World Economic Forum. Each piece of the puzzle fits. Each link leads to a single truth. The primary liquidity layer for global tokenization is being positioned as XRP. However, it doesn't end there. An even more ambitious phase, the establishment of the BlackRock Digital Asset Settlement Network, or BRDSN for short, is described in the memo. The document states that BRDSN would incorporate RippleNet straight into BlackRock's Aladdin platform, which is the same platform that governments, hedge funds, and pension funds use all over the world to manage their own portfolios. When this integration is finished, institutions will be able to use XRP as a bridge to rapidly settle tokenized securities. Imagine trillions of dollars in bond settlements, ETF transactions, Trillium U, Amasteen Crew, Nigener, and Imagined Baru, all passing through XRP. It's the architecture of a new era, not a dream. Most individuals will miss this portion. This has nothing to do with hype or conjecture. Control is at issue here. BlackRock isn't buying XRP to earn a quick profit. They are putting themselves in the middle of the new financial system. XRP is specifically referred to as a systemic liquidity asset in the leaked memo, which means that it is intended to act as a bridge between currencies rather than as a substitute for them. The IMF uses the same terminology to describe neutral settlement layers. Interpretation: the purpose of XRP is not to challenge the dollar. Its purpose is to link everything to the euro, the dollar, the yen, and other currencies, and the data backs it up. A price exceeding $10,000 would be justified if XRP were to bridge even 10% of the tokenized asset market, which is expected to reach over $20 trillion by 2030. However, the document points to something even more significant: a scenario where tokenized networks account for 90% of all global value. In that scenario, XRP not only gains traction but also becomes essential. It would provide settlement liquidity for all financial transactions, cross-border payments, and tokenized securities. That's not a crypto pump dream. That is institutional finance's blueprint. Let's now discuss everyone's thoughts. Why hasn't this been made public yet? It's just timing. BlackRock is quite precise in its operations. Their purchasing of XRP started months before the SEC's case against Ripple began to fall apart, according to the document. They were aware of the impending event. They were certain of Ripple's victory. While the public debated court decisions, they secretly positioned themselves, making purchases over the counter and locking in billions of XRP. They are now prepared to initiate Phase 2 liquidity alignment since legislative certainty is in sight and the global tokenization movement is picking up speed. The memo even makes reference to a Phase 3 retail integration, which is noteworthy. According to this phase, XRP-based settlement will gradually permeate retail platforms once institutional liquidity is established. This means that regular investors will eventually engage with tokenized assets without even being aware that they are utilizing XRP in the background. The ultimate stealth tactic is that. Imagine a world in which XRP is used by everyone via CBDC wallets, banking apps, and investing platforms. It becomes ubiquitous but undetectable if you never purchase it directly. What does this leave us with then? The financial system is undergoing a revolution, and BlackRock's $9.4 billion XRP wager is, quite frankly, the most obvious indication to date that this change is already taking place. Ripple's participation in international pilot projects, integration with ISO 2022, and alliances with central banks were all milestones in the direction of this unified infrastructure. It becomes clear when you put everything together, including the scale, the timing, and the secrecy. The price suppression of XRP is not an accident. It's getting ready for use. Actual utility worth trillions of dollars worldwide. There is only one scary line left in the leaked memo. Liquidity must come before adoption. That's the whole point. The establishment of the liquidity rails is necessary before the world can make the shift to tokenized finance. BlackRock's XRP holdings are an investment in infrastructure, not speculation. Before the rest of the world even recognizes the value of liquidity, they are locking it in. Additionally, when global settlements begin using XRP and tokenized assets become live, this mechanism will be activated. The price won't change gradually. Overnight, the price will change. You already know this is coming if you've been listening. The central bank